Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 2 of What God Are You Talking About? A podcast by me, Justin Mann. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to all who supported the first episode and all the nice things that were said. I do appreciate that greatly. I'm sorry for the lateness on this one. I don't know. The last week has been a little, it's been heavy. It took me, Alex, you'll get more context for this, but it's taken me 3 years to build the courage to kind of tell my story. And, in the last month or so, I've just been, okay, it's going to happen. Let's do it. And then, totally forgetting that, all that information, all this stuff I'm telling it to you in words, but it is heavy with emotion, a lot of guilt, a lot of grief. So anyway, after I got done with the last episode, I, took a minute, took a day to kind of just process. And then I watched it and I was and then the enemy, the enemy knows how to get me every single time, came swooping in. And it was first off, I don't like the way that I talk. I don't like the way that I look. I don't I'm not a good person. These stories are not, don't make me look, they don't make me look great, and, but so immediately, that's where the enemy gets me because, it tells me I'm a bad person. I'm not worthy of love, and I should just disappear. And I sat with that for a couple of days. I didn't even realize, and I'm sitting here talking about God, how leaning on God is the answer and stuff, and here I am just sitting in turmoil, just oh, I'm so awful. Why did I do this? And it's because it's about God. And I'm gonna jump into prayer because I need His guidance today, definitely. And let's go to that, and I will be right back. Dear Lord, thank you for another day. Please help me be brave, true, honest, and remember what this is all about. And to die of self, I need a lot of that. I need a big dose of that, if possible. In Jesus' name, amen. So last time I left you, I had just. I was at my treatment center, the Harvest Camp, not my treatment center, but the treatment center I was at. And I had a spiritual, whatever that is, God came in and, supernatural intervention. It was incredible, like I said. I wish that I could tell you that happened and then everything just disappeared. I changed but I didn't. I think that's and the whole topic of this is what God are you talking about? And the reason that I came up with that title is because I think that the problem with Christianity or anybody when it comes to God is that, like I said in the last episode, me as a person, I am a flawed human being. Who I am without God, just me. I'm flawed. I'm sick. So, I'm very broken. I don't know. But I wasn't anything. So I think that people get these experiences with God. I think that they're 100% real. I think they're genuine. I think that when people talk about these things, it's and even for the ones it's okay, that sounds crazy. But with the things that I've experienced, I believe that people do experience these things. But I think the problem is that we experience these things, we're broken down totally at zero, and then God moves. I mean, for the ones that it comes at a bottom, but, for others, whatever time it comes. But then we go back to who we were that had to be saved, start talking about this amazingness that is God. So, we forget that person needs God and that we need to speak of God and be one with God instead of going back to this person who has agendas, who is all about the self, who is all about the world, all those things, and start talking about it. And then it becomes hypocritical, Do as I say, not as I do. That's kind of like what I felt like this last week too, because I'm sitting here and I'm like, yes, God, save my life. But I struggle. I'm like, you need to understand this before we go. And I've said it before, but I will say it again. I am not cured. I don't have, I haven't, I still am dealing with life as it comes, and I fail a lot still. And, and I want to be clear that this is, I'm doing this to hopefully help somebody. But at the same time, I'm trying to put my recovery and God at the front of my life, because it gets pushed to the back all the time. Like I work all the time. I'm constantly like, I need to make sure I provide. I do not want my house to go, I don't want to get evicted or stuff like that, which I've just dealt with not too recently. I start focusing on things that are not, I mean, they're important, but like, they're not that important, not that important to where like I need to, jeopardize my sobriety or jeopardize getting sober, like all the things. It's, so that is another reason I'm doing this, is so I can, focus my weeks on talking about God, being one with all of you, and, and making it a priority. And I think this last week, I really got a big dose of how much, what I need to do in order to make this successful. And I promise you, if you stay tuned, I'm going to make it amazing. This week was a learning week. So yeah, back off track, but back to the harvest camp. So I wish that things had changed. I mean, I was there. When I was there for the 3 months in recovery, I was great. Like, I didn't do anything. Actually, that's not true. There was one time I did something. Yeah, anyway, but I did one time. And, but other than that, I was pretty much in it. And I was focused on God a lot. Like, I was reading a lot. I tried to get into the Bible. That was like the first go-to. Was like, well, obviously, horse's mouth. Let's get into it. But when I first started reading it, and I don't know if anybody else has had this problem, but when I first opened the Bible and I was like, I'm going to read this, I'm going to get to know, it read like chicken scratch. Like, it was too much. Like, I was like, where do I begin in all this, and I started at the beginning, and it just was like, the reading just felt like it was, I don't know, like I was getting nowhere. And because I also didn't understand what was going on, I had a hard, especially in the beginning, like when I started getting into the word, like I had a problem with unbelief, I'm like, I know that these things have happened, but like, these stories in here are so, sorry, my Bible's right here. That's where I keep putting my hand. Yeah. But the stories in here are incredible. Like, they're very big stories. And in my mind, I love movies. So I'm constantly doing like, like a Terminator take on things, like, it's just really big in my mind. And I had a hard time believing that, like Moses, the Red Sea, the Noah's Ark, like all the things. I'm like, so I have to believe that in order to be, one with God. And I felt terrible, because the miracle that happened in my life was huge. But it was hard for me to wrap my head around these things. Like, they would just, and it just reads like that. Like, it's in one sentence, like, oh, Jesus healed him. And then we were on to the next thing. It's like, that's crazy. And it's just like one sentence, but that is like, it's big, like, and I hate that. And even to this day, I have to pray about my unbelief, because my mind wants to be skeptical about it naturally, like I want to question this, and I want results. So anyway, me and the Bible did not get along in the beginning. And so I started reading, like I did, The Purpose Driven Life. If you have the chance, I highly suggest it. It's pretty sure it's 40 days. And it's this, you do one thing a day, and I'm telling you, if you commit to it, like if it surrounds you in God, it keeps God at the focus, like I'm trying to do right now. And my life was better. My life was better. I was happier, and so I do suggest that book for sure. Anyway, so I was there for like 3 months and did pretty good. And so I got out, and I wasn't even out 24 hours before I had a drink again. I mean, and it was like, because when I left, when I was in treatment, I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna do this, never gonna do that. But I had been locked away, you know what I'm saying? So like, and I think that's the problem with some treatment centers. Just a piece of advice. I strongly believe that a person has got to go on the outside and live like a day or two, and then come back and then talk about it and talk about the things that they experienced, the triggers and stuff. Because I had triggers that I didn't even know that existed. And it happened like as soon as I walked out of there. And I was so like, yes. And the people were proud of me. I'd made great steps, and it was not a thing. And I immediately relapsed. That time I would call it a relapse because I had changed my ways. I had changed my brain. I had changed my things. And then I didn't change as much as I thought, I guess, So anyway, I think that it wasn't working out. I got out, and there was so much going on. There was still so much going on with the death of my friend. There was things that I was not ready for, messages, and just people, I things that I needed to deal with, and I wasn't ready for it. Nor was I prepared support-wise to ask for help, because I had already gone through help. I had dealt with 3 months of this, and then all of a sudden here I am, like immediately out, and now I need help again. It's one of those things. I hated that for sure. But anyway, so I got back in touch with Sherry and Randy, who are the people who were running the camp. And I called them, and I was like, things are not going well. I'd really like to come back and help. And I did. I came back and helped. And I was there for like 6 months. It was great. I helped the guys that were coming in. I got to run some classes. It would make me feel really good, But I wasn't being straight though. I wasn't doing anything at that camp, but I would leave to go do choreography or go do something. And yeah, I was, dabbling on some things. Anyway, so I left there in June and came back to Charlotte, and it was choreography season, and fully relapsed, found someone that was, selling heroin, wasn't fentanyl, and, it became a problem again. And this time for the ones that know me know this, but I told you that I'm a contemporary choreographer, but the job that I have been dreaming about all of my life, like the one, is to have a job on a convention circuit. I think skill wise, I think I'm good enough. As far as functioning human being, no, not then. I mean, I've not then at all. So it wasn't something that like I had pursued, because I knew that people knew enough information about me to where it was just going to be a no, and something else that I, didn't get to partake on because of my problems, but whatever. So anyway, one of the studios I was working for, she put my name into this convention, and they hired me. And I was like, yo, that's amazing, And so as it was getting closer to time, I had decided that I was like, I'm gonna be sober for this, I'm not gonna use, which is awesome. I did that on my own. I was pretty proud of it. And but I was on the train to this convention, and my chest started hurting a little bit. Nothing crazy, but I was, very happy, excited, whatever. I get there and I meet everybody that I'm working with. I meet my bosses for the weekend and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'm super excited. Not only was I like teaching, but I was also judging. It was a pretty big deal in this area. And so the first night I go out to dinner with some friends, and I'm in the middle of dinner and I can barely lean forward. Like my chest started hurting so bad. It wasn't like a heartburn or any of that. It was just painful. And so I just kind of like slept it off. I went to bed, took some Advil, and, waking up, and it's the job that I've been waiting for, and, so the next morning I woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was in so much pain, I could not move. I got myself up, but like anything, anything at all, it would hurt. And, so I went back to bed because I was like, I'm not going to go to the hospital. I have this thing starts at like 8 o'clock in the morning. I need to get my act together. So anyway, I don't know if you know about my choreography specifically, but if you know contemporary, you know that you're using your body. You're all over the place on the ground, lifted, jumps, all the things. It is a very active and it uses your body. And mine's no different than that. And so I go to teach, and I thank God I had an assistant, but I couldn't leave. It was so painful. Like I cannot express to you. And I think I taught something like 4 classes the first day, and then like I don't know. I think it was altogether. It was like 7 classes altogether, and but the first day was the biggest. And or no, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But so after I got out of the class, I barely made it through the class. I went upstairs. I had a nurse come and see me from one of the studios. Like I was in pain, and I couldn't fulfill the other end of the bargain. I couldn't go teach. I couldn't go to dinner. I couldn't do anything. So I'm out, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like it's not even like a thing like that has to do with anything. I'm sober. It has to be okay, right? And anyway, so. I make it through the job finally, and barely. I'm in so much pain, and so I finally got back to Charlotte, and I waited for a little bit just to see if maybe I didn't know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing had happened, and so I finally went to the ER. My mom took me at like midnight, and they found out that I had a staph infection in my blood, and the infected blood had gotten in the sac around my heart, and that was that's what the pain. I mean, it was extremely dangerous, extremely scary, and if I had waited any longer, it would have been very bad. But I had gotten this from using dirty syringes, bacteria in my blood. So even though I wasn't using, it took me out again. I did not get rehired, and I still haven't even been back to that studio. I do appreciate the opportunity, and I did the best I could, but obviously like I got in the way again. So I was in the hospital for like 2 weeks. It's called pericarditis, and with something else, but I don't know. But I was in the hospital for 2. I was in rough shape, and I got out, and I was depressed because my name is in the mud again, and so I did what I do when I relapsed. And I remember I got to a point in January. This happened in December, and I got out like a week before the new year, I think, or maybe I don't know. But anyway, I made it into the new year. It was like the first week in January, and I said this. I wasn't praying. I was talking to God, and I told him, I was like, I guess this is what it's gonna be. Like I'm never gonna quit. This is just a way. I am incapable. I am weak. I am all the wrong things, and I don't have it in me I'm never going to be able to put down the needle. 2 weeks later, everything stopped. Like, the people stopped calling. Oh, well, I mean, we were still talking, but they wouldn't sell to me for some reason. They thought, I don't know what they thought, but I was bringing them a lot of money, and they just stopped selling. We're like, no, we're going to take some time. And I was not going to go back to fentanyl, so I was done. And it happened at a weird day where I don't know, and the sickness wasn't that bad, and all of a sudden, it was done. I quit using needles. It was amazing. I remember after the first week of not doing that I was like, this is really incredible, And and I was very proud. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I was like, this is good, man. Like, you know, keep going with this. And of course, so the way I celebrated, I was so proud of myself that I started a severe drinking problem. Yeah. So I went from one to the other, but you know, alcohol is legal and everybody's drinking it. Not everybody, but you know what I mean? So it's okay, right? And so anyway, this is where okay, so I start drinking, but I'm doing better. I'm like I am a better person. I am more productive. I'm happy. My eyes are I was better, you know. The drinking wasn't really, it was there, but it wasn't like really a big problem just yet, but it was there. And so I get into my choreography season 2019, and I was doing choreography, and this year I got to choreograph for the studio I had been trying to crack into for years. I saw her. I don't know if they're from Indiana. I don't know if I said that part, but I had seen them compete like so like 10 years before this, and I was like, I have got to be a part of your studio. You know, she had there's another choreographer that she was best friends with that was the contemporary choreographer for her, so there was no chance for me. And unfortunately he passed away, God rest his soul, and the conversation opened up between me and this person, and yeah, I was super happy, and I flew out to Indy for like a week, and in this week it was really weird because I wasn't really in the market for trying to open. I was seeing someone else, actually, like not exclusively, like I was exclusive, but this person had to have another boyfriend. It was a poly kind of situation, and I thought I am not the guy that is supposed to be in any of that. I am way too jealous and way too insecure, but for some reason I thought I could do it, and it was an absolute disaster. This is going on at the same time I come up to Indy, and I fall in love. Like, and this week it was against everything I was trying to do. I wasn't trying to do anything, but this person, like, it rocked my world, you know. And but you know, it was honest. She knew about what was going on, you know, and everything, and that came to a screeching halt in December. And you know, I didn't know what to do, but I had this connection with this person, and I was like, can I come and hang out with you? And she said, yeah. And she put up with a lot. She put up with a whole lot. Like, I was lost, you know, still. And, you know, and she welcomed me into her home. And even though I was going through this other thing with this other person, and, you know, she took care of me. She helped me. And if it wasn't for her, I don't know what would have happened. But I managed to stay away from drugs. I was drinking a lot, but I managed to keep that side at bay, which is good. And then after December, after I pulled my act together and I was still there, I was able to really get to know this person and realize that they were the best person I probably have ever met. And she is now my wife. And I love her. I love her very much. I'm really excited for next week's episode because she's actually going to be my first guest. I'm excited so she can tell her part of whatever she wants to tell, and we can get to know her because you're getting to know me. I mean, and we gotta take a second real quick and just talk about the kind of person that has to be okay. Well, like imagine that your significant other comes up to you and is like, listen, you know, I'm pretty sure that I'm supposed to tell my story. And you know, and the story has all this stuff. And for you to be like, yeah, I love you and I support you and I feel like you're doing the right thing. What kind of person that's gotta be, you know? And I really could not say thank you enough to this person. I could not say thank you enough to God for putting her in my path. She is, I'm very grateful that I have her, or that she chooses to love me and spend her life with me, because I I have become such a better person than I ever was before her. And a big part is to do with her. I mean, all of it has to do with God, but it's about the people he puts in our paths and stuff like that. And this person is what I needed. And she loves me for who I am, and the things that, the way that I love her, and I'm just very grateful. All right, so so COVID happens, 2020, and I lost the ability to travel, so my job was like completely out, gone, and so I started drinking a lot. And I tried to, it was definitely a problem. Like, I was waking up and I had to drink like a glass of vodka like this, get sick, and then do it again just to get started. It was really, really bad. And so I was like, I don't know any addicts or alcoholics that are like, woohoo, this is the life that I'm living. But I definitely was like very upset and very not, like, I wasn't happy, and I was like, and people around me hated me. Oh my God, they hated me. I was, all kinds of things. And just a mess to watch. And I was emotional. I was all the things. So the start of the summertime, I think it was like the start of the summertime, I was like, I'm going to stop drinking. And I thought I had done it right, but I don't know it's just so you know, alcohol withdrawals can kill you. But I had been drinking long enough that I had never had any withdrawals like this. So I thought maybe somehow I was excluded. But I wasn't. So I had slowed down a little bit. I was still drinking, mind you, but I had just had 3 big glasses a day instead of like 10. And so the first day, my body is kind of reacting to it. And I was like, I'm good. I'm just, this is the alcohol coming out of me. And the next day, I drank once in the morning and then didn't drink again. And I got to the nighttime and I went into severe alcohol withdrawals. Like, I thought I was going to die. Like, I was for sure of it. Dawn had to call the ambulance and, for them to come. And I can't walk. My body locked up. Like, there was, I do not know how to even, it felt like something was coming out of me, like almost like I was being like exercised. Like, my body locked, my hands locked up like this, my toes locked up like that. And within minutes, I lost the ability to talk. And then the paramedics get there and they're all in hazmat suits because COVID is going on. And they're like, you have to get up and walk to the stretcher. I was like, yeah, there's no way, bro. And anyway, so I was hospitalized for 4 days. And it was a lot. And when I got out, Dawn was still there and she was ready to help me become a better person. And I got sober. This is on the outside. I'm like sober, like no nothing. And I had relapsed once in like August, and then I was sober. And so I lost my ability to fly, so no job. So I had to start at the bottom. I started working at Walmart first, and then so I'm sober. This is all at the same time. Walmart, sober, good. A little bit of choreography, like 2 things. And then I got to Christmas and Amazon was hiring, Amazon warehouse. So I go to Amazon warehouse where this next amazing thing happened. I was a picker. So you walk around like these massive floors with all these small boxes, and you walk around with like a little like carrier, and you roll it around, and you have a gun, and you get different pieces of merchandise from different boxes or whatever, and you do that for 11 hours a night. I mean, when I first started working there, I told Dawn, I was like, these people are like, I tried to say hi to somebody and they were like, I was like, okay. I was like, people here are kind of rude. But then I got into the shifts and working, and I realized it's because they turned into zombies. I was zombified. I mean, it was crazy. whatever. But eventually I figured out that underneath my toboggan, I could wear like a headphone. So made it a little bit better. So anyway, this one night, it's like January, it was like January 11th into the 12th of 2021. So by this, and at this time too, I'd gotten into God. I really dug deep. I started going to church. I started and I'm praying constantly about what my purpose is. I did this at the camp too, but this was more serious. I was like, why am I here? What, like so many other amazing people that were contributing positively to society all have lost their lives for like not even a quarter of the stuff that I've done, and I'm still here. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? And so this night I'm got my headphone in and I'm walking around, and so it works. Like you come in, I think it was like 7 or something, and you take a break at like 10. It's like just a 15-minute break. And then like there's a longer one halfway through, and then like another 15 towards the end. I'm at the first break, okay? Smoke a cigarette, whatever. Cool, nothing happened. Put my headphones back in. I remember I was listening to the Christian station, and I don't remember what song it was, but I knew what song it was. Like I was going along with it, just walking, and all of a sudden I would turn the corner and I stop. And it was that stop. Remember that stop that I told you about, between the two houses where God moved and like I felt like at peace. This was that moment. Again, it's in the middle of Amazon, and I'm sitting there, and like it's that way, and it just felt so light and just and I don't know how long it lasted. I really don't. But it took me away. Like I was there, but I wasn't there. It was very peaceful. And when I came out of this, and all of a sudden the music got really loud. I couldn't hear it while this was happening. I had nothing. All of a sudden it just came back in. I was like, I took the headphones out and I looked around to see if anybody saw it. And I was like, oh my God, that was incredible. And at that moment right then, I don't know, nobody said it, but in my head, it had become a thing that I was going to tell my story. That's what I was supposed to do. So I was like, okay, well, all right, this is an amazing moment. That's cool, So I'm like, I go into I put the headphone back in. I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm gonna write my story. Yeah, I'm gonna write a book. There it is. So I go and I turn the corner, and this is not even minutes after that. And then as soon as I turn the corner, for the next 7 hours, I cannot be explicit enough on this, but just know that I mean what I'm saying. For the next 7 hours in my head, I was attacked in my brain. I saw each one of my family members die separately, and saw it, mourning it, and then ended up at their funeral watching other people grieve. And then every time I'm like, stop thinking about that. These thoughts are popping in my head, and it was just, wow, it was so sad. And then there was ones of I could see Dawn, and she would be with another man just laughing at me. And I'm like, why would you just over and over and over and over for 7.5 hours? And it got so bad at one point in time that I ended up in the bathroom stall closed. I had my feet up on the toilet, hugging them, crying. I was freaking out because I was like, am I going crazy? Because it didn't matter. But every time I turned, there was a new thought happening, and I could not get it to stop. It just kept happening, and it was super uncomfortable, super sad. I mean, just imagine that, watching each one of your family members die, horrible deaths, mind you, and then standing over their casket with it open while you're talking about them or just crying. I don't think that's not something I do. I'm not one of those people that's like, ooh, think of death and it turns me on. No, I'm not like that. This was something else. And so finally I made it to the end. I don't remember if I left early or what, but it was, I don't know. So I left, the sun is rising, and I was like, okay, and it finally went away. And by the way, I've been rebuking Satan all night long. I was like, in the name of Jesus, all of it, and it just nothing happened. Nothing helped. It had to happen. And so anyway, the sun is rising. I'm feeling better. Anyway, I get home, and Dawn, whenever she woke up, I told her what had happened, and she was like, yeah, you should do that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna write my book, right? So I get down, I'm motivated, right? So I just start writing, and I start at the beginning, and I get to about 13 years old where the drugs started happening, and I was like, there's no way I'm writing this. I was like, it's taken me so long to get to a point where people think something positively of me, and I don't want to feel uncomfortable, like what, and people like opening up old wounds and stuff like that. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that to other people either, like this is, and so I was like, you know what I'll do? I started making compromises with God, because I was like, because this obviously is what I'm supposed to do. I mean, I'm telling you, it was very real. This is what I'm supposed to do. So start making bargains, right? I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do it like that. But what I am going to do is I'm going to get my GED, and I'm going to go and get my license to become a clinical, a substance abuse counselor. Right? And so I was like, okay, well, I'll do it like that. And I'll talk to certain people about my stuff. And, it made me feel worse. Like, I got in there, I got the GED. I was super proud, like I finished high school, like I'm doing things, and, I made it through the first semester, and it wasn't it. That was not what I was supposed to do. It was so heavy to even keep going, and I'm not great at school, but I was studying, I was doing the notes, I was doing everything, but it was just like, this is wrong. This is the wrong path. This is not it. So I stopped, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to write my book, and didn't do a thing about it. Relapsed a couple times, and we then got it together, and then my brother passed away, and at 45, and that was really sad. He had a lot going for him, and had a new baby on the way. He had 2, and he had 3 with a previous marriage. Like, this was very sad. And I decided to, let me think about where I want to go with that part. Well, at this point, when my brother passed, I had, that side of me had come in and was like, okay, we're going to use, because, you can just be like, you're sad about the funeral. So, and that's how my mind works. Like, when it comes to the enemy, this addiction and stuff like that, I see moments like that, and I see them as opportunities somewhere in my mind. Of course I'm sad, and of course the real emotional side is there, but that is how harsh and twisted the disease of addiction is that I look at those, and somewhere in my mind, immediately, I see an opportunity for an excuse for a relapse. It's crazy. And so I did just that. I came back home. I came back a day early before his funeral, and I went out with a friend, and I overdosed and was hit by a car, and broke some ribs. Somehow I lived through it. Like, it's amazing. I don't know exactly what happened. Sorry for that interruption, guys. I'm still working things out. But where I was at was, I don't know exactly what happened. I was in the passenger seat of the car, and I had done the drugs, and I came to, and I was on the ground, and this part of my sleeve was underneath someone's tire who had backed into me, and didn't run over anything. I had some broken ribs for sure, but I was fine. By far, the luckiest person I ever. And I'm so grateful that God's grace and is bigger than my selfishness, and that he didn't take me, or I didn't die, because that would have just been awful on everyone, and I don't know. I'm sorry about that. But that, that happened. And so the next day I was at his funeral and talking, and nobody knew what was going on, knew that had happened or anything. And I was just just all day. I mean, I was upset because of David. I love David so much. And, we spent some time where we weren't talking. And the last 3 years he was around, we were able to reconnect. And we were not friends because of all the problems that I've told you that I've been dealing with. He just wanted nothing to do with it. But when we first entered the dance industry together, we were inseparable. He was my best friend. And I lost that because of the same reason I've lost basically everything else. All right, anyway, so we decided, me and my wife, her daughter was going to college, and, we decided to move to North Carolina to try to be closer to see if we could help. The intentions were very pure, for sure. We got down here, and it was a lot different than I think. I don't know. There was a lot. And I'm just going to jump forward to now. While I was in North Carolina, I had a couple turns for the drinking and stuff, and my drinking got us into a situation where, Dawn is going to be on the next episode, so I'm excited to get to talk to her, and she can, talk about her experiences in these times, but I'm going to leave some of it open until then because I feel like that's the right thing to do. But anyway, so months ago, I started a relapse in, I think it was August of last year. Nothing crazy, but definitely stuff. And we got to a point where I couldn't hold my end up for the house, and we ended up getting evicted. And there's a lot more to this story, but we got evicted, and I was at a bottom again. I didn't know what I was like, you wanted me to talk about my story, and I can't even get my act together long enough to hold like great conversations, and so I was broken months ago. This was, I think it was, no, it was May. And my wife was dealing with some stuff, and we kind of separated for a minute. And all of a sudden, when I came back around her, I had seen, she was a different person. She was positive. She was ready to move forward. She wanted to move forward with me. And I was beyond grateful. And at that moment that, she came back in and was ready to just take life by the horn, I saw that God had changed her heart. Like, I love watching, I don't know about many of you, but I love when I see God moving in someone else's life. It is so beautiful. And you can just see this transition. The person, is going through these advancements or these next steps with ease. And it's like, that's that peace that I was talking about in the last episode, given that place to move forward and not be so burdened by life, the mistakes, moving forward, being ready to be a good person, And I jumped on that wagon and was like, I see it. I want to get back to that. And then within months, we have a new house. We both have jobs. We both have, and this is only until, I piggybacked off of Dawn on this one. She rededicated her life, and I wasn't there, but I followed because I wanted to. I wanted to get back to that, and then in that process, like, He's healed our relationship. We still have problems, my craziness, but it healed a lot of pain that was between us, and it is only the kind of healing that God can do. And I'm so grateful for that because I am living, I feel like a dream life. I have a woman who I love dearly, who loves me and who makes me feel safe. You know, all that came back, and then it got to the time where we got found a house with an eviction on our record. Like, come on, man! Like, these are things, like, things just fell into place, like, exactly at the right time, like it always does with God. And this time I'm ready. This time I'm ready to do what I've got to do to get out there and to get my story out there, to be as close to God as I possibly can, and help others do the same in this process. I'm so grateful that I'm here with you all, and I'm so grateful that God does exist, and that I was able to change it was a mindset more than anything, that I was okay, that I was a good person, or I could be a good person, and that I could be a beneficial part of, society, and that people could want to be around me at times. For a long time, I was very lonely. Nobody wanted to be around me. I didn't even want to be around me. And now people they search out conversations and stuff. And I'm very grateful that I have the life that I do. And so, yeah, uncomfortable or not, heavy or not, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I'm grateful, like I said, that you're all here. And as this goes on, I'm getting better. I'm not getting better. I'm planning on getting better. I'm getting better. So hopefully next week it won't be so splotchy, and maybe I have like a good setting. I don't know, but I am. I'm in, and thank you all for being a part of this. And I am not turning back. I'm going to keep doing. And like I said, I really want to talk to you guys. So reach out. My email is whatgodareyouttalkingabout@gmail.com. Please reach out to me and let's talk, okay? Thanks again. And join in next week for episode 3. All right, bye.